This is spectacular, and this will also cause a lot of discussion, because when you speak of BMW, everyone speaks of the BMW 3 Series. It's the core of the brand, and here we have the new generation, all new BMW 3 Series as the electric one, the BMW i3. You maybe know that it has been different with the i3 naming, but this one here, globally now, it will be this vehicle here, this new double kidney, really widely drawn. On the one hand, similar to the iX3, but you can see here, the double kidney is now not physical, but here defined by this light line, so to speak, here and also here. And I think this will spark a lot of discussion, won't it? Check out the comments section. And you can see here, this is a very strong indentation here with the updated BMW logo, that it is in this so-called valley here in the front. It will house a frunk. We cannot open that one here today yet, because it's like a first hand-built vehicle, but it will look exactly like this. So it's not a concept car or something like this. This is the final look of the BMW i3, and we're going to take a detailed look not only at the exterior but also at the interior and all the specs and facts and figures, everything we need to know so far. Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. Continuing with the side profile, 21-inch wheels in this case. That looks already really large. 245mm tires, so it's a little bit smaller, a little bit, narrower than with the iX3, which starts at 255 in the front. Really will be like a range wonder, so to speak, because the iX3 is already quite efficient and has like a WLTP figure, the EU cycle of 800 kilometers plus, and this one will be even above that because it's even better in efficiency and so on. And you can see here in the side silhouette, which is, by the way, at the length of 4 meters 76 or 187 inches. So just slightly shorter than the iX3, the SUV brother. 2.5 box design. So you can see here you do have the classic sedan style, but this is here a little bit more stretched. So to speak, something between 3 and 4 Series, something like that. And it will be also a separate trunk. This one says here i350. I mean, the 3 is a little bit larger here, but if you look at it, it could be i350, but it's the i350, the 50 version. This is the all-wheel drive version, less than 5 seconds in the acceleration figure to 1 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour, because the iX3 is 4.9, so this one should be even a little bit quicker actually, or almost the same. This one also M Sport package. You can see here you have the black contrast here in the lower part, for example. You also saw the accentuations in the front. And battery pack, the same figures like with the iX3. So the big battery, 108.7 kilowatt hours net. And there will also be entry-level specs, so with a smaller battery, lower price, and also rear-wheel drive versions. This one here all-wheel drive. However, the rear electric motor is always the stronger one. And of course, there will be versions on top of that, like the true BMW M model for the i3. There will be actually one electric motor per wheel. This will be spectacular, and of course, we'll keep you updated with that. There will be 2 different platforms for more or less the same vehicle. So BMW 3 Series combustion engine and BMW i3, the full electric one, they will look the same on the exterior, they will look the same on the interior, they will have many same parts, and they will have so much in common. At the same time, they will be on different platforms. And that is something like a new approach, and we are of course going to cover all the versions for you are interested in. And also, when we talk about the prices, iX3 we saw, it is basically the same, comparable to the combustion engine specs, and we also expect the same for this one here, that you can take a look at 3 Series prices, and then when you take a look at comparable versions, this one will also be somewhat around that. So we can expect something between 60 and 80,000 euros, something like that, also similar to the iX3. I mean, it's a very strong look, definitely. There will be discussions about the front, definitely. I have to get used to that front, honestly, I got to say that, because I was kind of happy with the retro double kidney with the iX3. Here I'm not convinced quite yet, but I do love this blue Castellier color, that's called. It's a real Thomas blue color, and there will be the fitting white interior to that. So if I would go for the i3, it would be definitely exactly this color on the exterior and this interior we see right here. About charging flap will be here on the passenger side. We can also expect the same figures there, 21 minutes, 10 to 80% state of charge for the big battery. 400 kilowatt DC peak, 800 volt charging, but also 400 volt compatible. So this one is really good in the EV facts. I mean, it's no wonder that they share the same platform, the same EV facts, i3 and iX3. Difference is that the iX3 is produced in Hungary, and this one here will be produced in the main plant in Munich, the plant with the, I could say, most tradition since 1922. And so this will be also like a huge generational change, because they will change the head plant in Munich to all electric here with the i3. And you might remember the i3 in Europe used to be this, like very small bubble-like vehicle which was going forward, and really looking into the future already, more than 10 years ago. That was quite spectacular. And then the i3 in China was actually, or is at the moment still, like this classic 3 Series sedan, just that it's electric. And now this one will be the i3 model, classic sedan style for the whole world market. Also expecting a production in the US later on, and also, like with the iX3, they will also produce it in China as the long wheelbase version, like they did with the combustion engine versions, that it's always a little bit longer than here the rear, a little bit more legroom, and this one then here more the EU and the Northern American spec. As soon as possible, of course, we will keep you updated also with the frunk. There will be a frunk, probably similar to the one in the iX3. You can check it in the SUV video how the frunk will look like. And important to know also about the suspension. So you have a standard suspension, already one with hydraulic cushions, and optional you will also get later adaptive suspension. This is then one you can really individualize from the inside, that it really changes when you go sport mode, gets stiffer, comfort mode is softer, and so on. But already the base suspension, as we know from the iX3, because they use the same suspension technology, is already very decent in the riding. Take a look at these door handles here. They come out and they're also illuminated around. I'm more a fan of classic door handles, and they will come back. As I explained in the iX3 video, it's a thing like the demands from the Chinese market. They first asked for this, then manufacturers had to adapt. Now the Chinese market says these will be forbidden, so everyone will go back to the classic ones. Yeah, that's sometimes the case. It's complicated. Here, by the way, no frames in the lower part here. That makes more like a clean paint design, so to speak. And then let's take a look at the interior. First of all, inside of the doors. This is new. In the iX3, they had more of like fabric inserts. Here we have a nice leatherette insert, also soft touch. You can get it here in the bright style, but also darker, how you prefer. I think it looks pretty cool. Here also soft touch. Here for the elbow. This could be a little bit softer. We have to see how it is in the final production version. This is the manual seat, the easy exit seat control. And then here also galvanization here for the window levers, for example. The only thing I'm still missing is here, I would like to have some fabric at the inside of the doors. Then here, M Sport package. Then we also have the entry sill badge. New is here that we have some leatherette with ambient lighting behind for the i3. Here also in the bright styling, again, black would also be possible. In the iX3, the SUV brother, this would be fabric. So I think this is liked by more of our viewers, as I could tell from the comments. Soft touch also on the dashboard here. And then you have this white steering wheel. In this case here, don't have to go for that. Also black one available. And here the logic is there's a base steering wheel with smaller spokes. There's this sportier steering wheel, vertical spokes as well, but wider. And then there's also will be the M Sport steering wheel with spokes here, and which is also completely round. So there will be different versions and materials, all animal free at the steering wheel and also at the seats. Veganza, and is really high class, and also convincing those who are skeptic about these materials, because it's super soft. It's passively breathable here with this perforation, for example. Also soft here in this critical sit bone area, for example, and the material feels extremely soft and is also at least as durable. That's what the testing shows. And here the bright styling, I love it, especially in the combination with the blue exterior, but there will be different styles available. European market will probably also get the fabric seats as base, and then you can also get some Alcantara inserts here, and they will also offer the M Sport seat, we also know from the iX3, so that there's something for every preference. Now it gets critical, because this is not the SUV, and of course, there's the battery in the lower floor, so different seating positions. So the legs are more like horizontal. In the SUV, you sit more upright. The seat is the same, also the ergonomics of the seat, but how the legs are oriented in the car, this is different. And also here, the headroom to the glass roof, this is actually no problem. Here to the side, it gets closer. So you see, I have more room in the iX3, still because the seat is so excellent in the comfort. It's still a very good ergonomic and comfortable seating position here in the front. So I like that. And one thing I do criticize, not everyone is happy with the steering wheel design. It looks for some too futuristic. But as I said, the material feels extremely soft and elaborated. Here also the grip for the thumbs, this is very good. You have a great grip and you teach people to drive 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock position. That's a good thing. Hashtag capacitive BS, however, the buttons here, I don't like the buttons really. You do have plus, minus and so on. At least they're illuminated. You don't really miss them. But still, I'm not the biggest fan of these buttons. So yeah, like always, that's why we're here to give you all the pros and cons. And this, by the way, here, the manual adjustment in and out for the steering wheel. Welcome to the cockpit of the BMW i3 here, the new generation. We also see this large screen, which is similar to the iX3, yes, but this one here is lent 3 degrees more towards the driver, because the message is, okay, 3 Series, more driver focused. Yeah, I mean, why not? Here, by the way, really nice that they have, instead of the fabric in the iX3, the leatherette also shining through with the ambient lighting. So it's quite cool. Also here at the dashboard. And there is this one layer with the large screen where you can control everything. And then you have the panoramic vision in the front, which is really going from left to right all the way. You can also individualize that completely, plus a possible head-up display. Then we have here, these are the comfort seats, as I said. And this, by the way, in the M Sport pack in standard, the top part here would be in microfiber. And then once again here, the perforated leatherette. And in the M Sport seat, you would have microfiber here on the outsides each. And this lower area is a little bit tighter. And these bolts, you can also adjust in both seats, actually. So that is also possible. And the head restraints are also adjustable in both seat versions. It will be very interesting to take a look at that in the configurator, definitely. It is always a question needed, does the screen need to be like in this very shape? But they want to have something really unique when people look at it, say, okay, this is like the new BMW electric platform. At least this one they definitely achieved. Gotta discuss about the form of the steering wheel. I'm not the biggest fan visually, I have to say. Maybe I would even go with the base steering wheel. A lot will go with the M Sport because it's like rounder and also has the spokes right here. And then here, there's like the middle air vents. You control them from the menu, and then down in the bottom you have the new inductive charging pad. This is like the magnetic holder that really sticks into its place, ventilated all the way around, right side not for charging, and here adaptive cup holders. This is to put in the gears, back for drive, front for reverse. Here you still have a manual volume jog as well. And here for your elbow, I'm not sure if that's the final thing. I think it should be a little bit softer here on the top part. And you can also lift that up. And then you have 2 USB-C chargers right there. Some rubber pad in the lower part. 12-volt charger and power supply here. You know, in the iX3 you had the 2 USB-C sockets there on the top next to the inductive charging pad. What is better is up for discussion. If you put your smartphones here and connect them with the cable, which I usually recommend, it's at least like hidden and you have like a very clean atmosphere here. So what is the main difference to the iX3? Basically the seating position, because here like your legs are more horizontal. Again, seat ergonomics the same, but of course the iX3 you have this more upright seating position, so it would be more comfortable to me, especially if you're a little bit taller. When you don't have very long legs, it might not be the biggest difference. And of course, we are also going to talk about the difference to the Mercedes CLA, which has the same problem, so to speak, because the battery is in the lower floor, you know, and then the floor gets higher. Here, the main difference is that the seats themselves, the seat ergonomics is better than with Mercedes. And this makes, especially in the sedan segment here, a huge difference. But then again, also the CLA has some unique things, which you can also check out later. If you have finished this review, we of course already drove the CLA, and you can also compare that later on if you're really interested. And then here the driver POV. Once again, as I said, the M Sport steering wheel would be a little bit more rounder than in the top and also in the bottom part, if you prefer that. Then here, far focus to the panoramic vision. And this is here the optional head-up display. So this will be then projected into the windscreen. So you can easily go without the head-up display here, but you could also pick one. And here then either all the information on the panoramic vision, or you can also leave the right and the middle part completely blank. So yeah, like you prefer. This screen here is not in the active mode at the moment, but you can see the temperature control is on the here, easy to access, like when you switch from the steering wheel to the climate control. I do prefer physical dials, but this is at least easy accessible. On the left side, you can deactivate the speed chime and also the lane keeping assist. So this is like a easy access to these functions you might want to use. And more, if you want to see more about the infotainment system, we have always shown it in our iX3 review. Here, by the way, you can see a little bit of the ambient lighting shining through here. And yeah, I do prefer the leatherette dashboard solution here in comparison to the fabric use in the iX3. Now it gets really exciting, because you knew from the Mercedes CLA, they always have the problem in the electric sedans that the floor is kind of high, and then there's not so much room for legs, for headroom, and so on and so on. But first start with the inside of the doors. Also at the rear here with the leatherette surface, really nice in the structure here as well. By the way, the door handles here, they are electric, yes, but if you would pull them further, that's also the failsafe, the manual failsafe, which is a great idea, because always when manufacturers do it that way, that the electric button and the manual failsafe is at a different direction. In case of an emergency, you might not find it. But here you know, it's that place, and it will be the same place should there be the unrealistic case that it fails. And if it happens, it's still the same place. A lot of space here actually here for the inside of the doors. Once again, I would wish some fabric there. Maybe my wishes will be heard until further development. I hope so. And then the same cool design with the white Veganza here in the rear, also very plush. Once again, also the sit bone area here, the Isofix, they're hidden behind that. It's a nice cover. As for that, you can also adjust the angle of the seats to have like more a cargo position, or then here leant back all the way. And now it gets even more exciting. Oh, by the way, here in the lower part, USB-C charging, and also the separate climate unit in the rear. So we have an even floor, yes, but the SUV always has the advantage that it builds higher. And here for my feet, I would need to put the seat a little bit higher, that my feet could fit a little bit better under the seat. So that would be one thing definitely. And then we do have the same problem like in the, yeah, Leah is already making fun of me and she can, and you can as well, you know. Because here, like my feet are quite high, and then I have this strange angle here. So it's the same problem like we have in the Mercedes CLA. Yeah, the only Porsche solved that in the Taycan, building these foot garages into the battery housing. But that's so complicated, and you also waste then space for the space of the battery. So it's pro and con definitely. As for the length here for the legroom, I mean, it still works for toy adults, yes. And I think for me the solution would be if the driver in the front maybe would raise the seat a little bit. I could put my feet under there a little bit better, and then I could maybe also fit into this recess here. But there, of course, the SUV building style from the iX3 has an advantage. Then to this fixed glass roof, there's still some headroom left. Yeah, I wouldn't move too far to the side here. I think that's still okay. Not too much, but still works. There will also, as the base version, be a version available with a just fixed roof without the glass roof. And here the glass roof itself, it has like a UV protection layer and also a heat reduction layer that is inbuilt in this one. It cannot change the color or something like that. It will always be like this. And if you live like in one of the hottest states, then probably just go with a fixed roof, because even with the protection layers, it will still always be a little bit hotter here on the inside. So the thing is, limit due to the battery in the lower floor and like how my legs are in the vehicle, but the seating itself from the ergonomics and the materials, once again, is really nice, and also when you lean back and so on. And you remember maybe our recent snow episode where we could already drive the BMW i3. If you haven't seen this one, you should also tune in at the end of this episode here. And with this prototype vehicle we've been driving at that point, we can also show you the trunk, because this final design model didn't have a finalized trunk yet. This one is still also a prototype, but here we could also take the measurements for you. And very important, here is a separate trunk, like a normal sedan. And here, there's still space above the trolley when we put it in vertically. And this is here a little bit more than 1.40 meters in the width. It goes a little bit more narrow than towards the latter part. And then the normal length here is also 1.40 meters. And when we load through, we have to fold the seats from the rear. So fold through is a small step. And then here the total length is 1.80 meters or 71 inches. And underneath here, by the way, there's just like small space, in this case here for like towing cable. And here the height, also to give you that measurement. So we're here at 18 inches or 45 centimeters. So this is the world's first measurement of the BMW i3 trunk. Yeah, we could pre-record that for you and then put it in this design episode here. This is the cable, by the way, because we have an additional antenna here for this, test track vehicle and so on. Yeah, and of course, soon we can show you even more than also like with folding back and forth and so on when we have the final driving part of this vehicle. So yeah, step by step, we can show you even more, and looking forward to that. And some, like Germany, are also keen on touring, on estate, and there will also be a touring. We can expect it for the i3. So the German customers will really appreciate that. However, then when you think about realistic consumption, you can always score some, let's say, if you drive realistic speeds on the motorway, not too fast, but also not too slow, then you can rule with some 20-something kilowatt hours in 1 kilometer, so about 3 miles per kilowatt hour, which would mean a realistic real-world range of at least 500 kilometers or 300 miles. You can score better with that if you keep it really at, let's say, non-German motorway speeds, or if you have a lot of city share in it, can easily also get you 600 kilometers or 370 miles. So super exciting what we saw here today with the all-new BMW i3. We'll keep you updated as soon as we know anything else. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new reviews. And now compare our recent driving review of the BMW iX3, the SUV brother.